Right, let's get started today with Floyd Mayweather in the UK to promote his up-and-coming bout with Mayweather Marquez, scheduled for July. The two fighters currently on a worldwide tour. They arrived in London today, where they're giving a press conference this afternoon. The one thing that caught my eye, Bunty, when you look at this, Floyd looks so much bigger. Marquez clearly putting on a lot of weight to get up to 147. Can you remember anyone putting on quite so much weight for one fight?
Yeah, I mean, people do put that sort of weight on, but what's slightly alarming here is there was a lot of talk, if you remember rightly, in the build-up to the negotiations for this fight, whether it would be at 140, 142, 143. And I think I came on this show, looked down the lens 4 weeks ago and said, forget the weight, there's enough money in this that if Mayweather says he wants to fight at 162, trust me, Marquez will put on the necessary poundage. But it is rather scary, because here's the thing, not only will Mayweather be the naturally heavier man, Mayweather's last 5 fights have been at 147. He hasn't been anywhere near Marquez's weight, that's 140 since he fought Gatti in 2005, whereas Marquez has never weighed above 139. In fact, only a year ago, or 14 months ago, he was fighting Pacquiao at 129. He's got to come in for this fight 147. Now, I calculate that that's an increase of nearly 10% of his body weight in order to make this fight a reality. Now, take into consideration also, Andy, that he's an inch shorter. He's an inch shorter than Mayweather. We're always used to seeing Marquez as quite a tall fighter because he stands up quite straight, and he is quite tall for a featherweight and a super featherweight. But he'll be an inch shorter than Mayweather. But more than that, he'll have a 5-inch reach disadvantage. Now, I don't know the chest measurements and I don't know the neck measurements, but I would say I bet he's got 2 inches on the neck. I bet he's 2 inches smaller, Marquez, and I bet his chest is about 4 inches smaller than Mayweather. So we're going to see a guy here who's a lot naturally bigger. And since, you know, this weight difference and who's biggest, who's tallest, who's strongest, who can carry the weight, we did a massive reassessment vis-a-vis Pac-Man, okay, because the general thinking was Ricky would be too big and too strong. Of course, once you looked at it, Ricky was only a fraction taller, Ricky had a 2-inch reach disadvantage, Ricky's chest was smaller, Ricky's neck was smaller, Ricky's fists was smaller, Ricky's calves were smaller. Suddenly, this tiny little guy, Pacquiao, who everyone was considering as some sort of little flyweight waif who had to watch his dad eat his favourite dog, you know, we all considered Pacquiao this little guy. When they actually came chest to chest, and I was there with 6,000 people. By the way, the picture in Boxing News a couple of weeks ago was the finest picture used in Boxing News in the 30 years I've been reading the magazine. I was at that weigh-in, and let me tell you something, we kept talking about, oh, he's still bigger. Was he heck bigger? We saw it there in front of our eyes. There was very little in it.
The one thing, though, with Pacquiao is you could certainly make a case to say Pacquiao was the more talented boxer. It's difficult to make that case when someone fights Mayweather because there's very few people technically as good.
Absolutely. So you need someone that's got lots and lots of power. But Mayweather has had problems in the past with good technical Mexicans. Luis Castillo, the guy that Ricky Hatton knocked out a couple of years ago, he gave Mayweather kittens in both fights. Mayweather won both fights, but one of them was extremely close. And in fact, one of them, if I had to put my hand on my heart, I would say Mayweather got it wrong and lost on the night. But another quick fight on that undercard in Las Vegas, interesting one, Zab Judah against Matthew Hatton. So there could very well be a few more thousand Hatton fans on the road, July 18, MGM, Las Vegas.
That will be a big night. That, though, is merely a